Hello everybody, and welcome to a Fire Emblem Fates Conquest class tier list. This is an idea that I've kind of had for a while now. Ranking the classes based on skills, pair-up bonuses, their actual combat performance, all that. But I figured that it would be kind of boring and also make for a less accurate list if it was just me sitting here rambling to myself about every single class. So thankfully, I have two people here with me who can argue with me and call me out when I inevitably say some dumb shit. So I've got with me here Lagspike and Brainiac. Lagspike, you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, hi. So, I'm Brain. You guys probably know me mostly from the Conquest Relay. I don't really make a lot of other content, but I have a lot of opinions. I'm more than happy to share them. I'm also known as the guy that Lagspike slanders in all of his videos for hating Kaze, apparently, even though I think that he is a fine man.
Can we talk about how this guy got half his subs from me shitting on him for shitting on Kaze, and he has no gratefulness for this? This is wild.
I know, that's crazy.
No, I'm Lagspike. If you guys don't know, I make a lot of Conquest content, pretty much only Fates content. I stream every now and then when I'm not overwhelmed by college. I Conquest Among Us is going on still, probably by the time this video comes out, unless something horrible happens. I'm ready to get started.
Yeah, alright, so just laying out the criteria of things real quick. We're going to be ranking these classes based on their parrot bonuses, the skills that they offer, their actual, stats and combat performance, and of course, like any unique utility that they might have, Songstress. The only thing that we're not really ranking them on is we're not really gonna be saying, Paladin good because Xander comes in Paladin, or something like that. Like that's not, we're not ranking them based off of the characters in the class.
But we are accounting availability, so Paladin might not be good because Xander's in it, but Paladin might be good because Xander's in it, which lets more units have access to Paladin than they would have otherwise.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think availability is the right term. I think opportunity cost is a better term. Like, how easily can you get access to the class?
Brainiac, can you please stop breathing down your mic, dude?
Oh my god.
Alright. I do have a bit of an order set up here, so we can either follow the order or just, pick and choose. What do you guys think?
First thing I need you to do is make a new tier above the top tier and put Songstress in it alone, because Songstress is literally
honestly, yeah.
Songstress
I was thinking it. Oh wait, that's gonna mess up the capture, isn't it? Oh, not really. Actually,
Songstress, I think people are desensitized to just how busted Azura is. The more you play Fates, you realize Songstress is basically, Azura is basically a cheat code that the devs just let you use. It's so unbelievably overpowered that it boggles the mind.
Honestly,
I think this tier name is pretty fitting, I think.
No, honestly, I think a more descriptive tier name is +3 speed dance. There you go. That's your tier name.
It's just such an unbelievable, I maintain that Azura is the best unit in Fates, regardless of how good Camilla or whatever is. It's just such an unbearably powerful tool in most Fire Emblem games, but then in Fates it's even better than it would be otherwise because it gives you stats. You can shelter Azura to do it multiple times, and also Azura has insanely good availability on all three routes.
Yeah, that's the other thing is it's a different comparison to say Azura versus Camilla is a different comparison from Seth to Tethys, right? Because Tethys comes so much later than Seth, but you get Azura before Camilla. It's
you know what? Let's start off. I'd like to start this off on a weird note. Actually, never mind. I forgot that this is unpromoted classes. Actually, no. You know what? Put Bow Knight in S tier, please. Oh, SS tier.
Bow Knight in SS tier is an interesting one.
Oh, okay. That's that's an interesting.
I want to hear your reason. I want to hear your reasoning before you can.
First of all, well, the thing is that it's very, very accessible. First of all, There's your mercenaries get it, so that's 3 units including the second generation. Your outlaws get it, so that's like 2 units including the second generation. And if you 3 units because Sure also gets it. And then if you add in like the heart seal options, like 45% of the cast of Conquest has access to Bow Knight from one way or another. It's pretty unreal. Like if we go through the cast, if you start off, like Silas has access to Bow Knight because he has mercenary. Arthur does not. Elise does not. Effie does not. But then like you go and then Niles has access to it. Nyx has access to it. You just keep Selena has access to it, so on and so forth. You just find more and more units, and what you get in Bow Knight is just like a universally extremely powerful physical combat class, or even magical combat if you're able to make it work. For the price of being in a class that's pretty easy to get anyways, you get access to potentially the best weapon type in the game, that being bows, and then you get access to 8, sometimes 9 movement, 10 class base, sometimes 13 class base strength if you get strong riposte, potentially lock touch access, eventually the promise of getting a rally skill for some utility, a movement pair up, speed on pair up, which is always helpful even if you're not backpacking with your units. It's just so universally good. It's even for example, even on Corrin, for example, Bow Knight gives you access to bows and you still get to use your Yato for some decent damage dealing once you even though the Yato, I shit on the Yato because it has 85 hit, the Yato has 11 might once it turns to the Grin Yato. That's pretty damn good in terms of damage dealing. Bow Knight also early on in the game has pretty much everything you could want. Armor effectiveness before all the armors start carrying Wary Fighter with the Armor Slayer means that they're just dead. Bow access against all the flyers that the mid game throws at you is really, really good. Eventual access to stuff like the Shining Bow means that you could even potentially do better against enemies that you would otherwise somewhat struggle against, like those same generals. You could put in a decent amount against them if you're doing Shining Bow Nyx or some shit. I just think that Bow Knight is just a universally extremely, extremely powerful class.
Yeah, I also will say 2 other things in favor of Bow Knight. One, it's pretty also easily accessible through friendship and stuff. Niles gives it to Arthur, Odin, and Leo. I think Keaton gets it through Laszlo, and there's a lot
Xander
of ways
gets it through
you can
Laszlo.
get it if you want.
Xander can get it through Laszlo or by marrying Selena.
Yeah, Baruka and Camilla get it through Selena. So there's a lot of ways to get it through friendship, and also, Shurikenbreaker admittedly doesn't make the biggest difference on throughout a whole playthrough because there's only a few maps that really have a lot of Shuriken enemies. But God, does it make those maps easier? Shurikenbreaker is the difference between a full run of 25 being really stressful and annoying to being kind of a cakewalk, depending on the unit that it has it,
So I have a question though. So I do agree with everything that all of you just said about Bow Knight being really good and having a lot of utility, but is it you're advocating for double S tier, right? So here are the classes that I would put in double S tier. Is it better than Wyvern?
Yes, I think that the flexibility of the path that you can go through it gives it a lot of value, and the classes that adjoin it also are have some decent offerings. Specifically, you can go Outlaw to get your hit rates fixed up, and also just having it has 9 movement in one of its class lines. No other class in the game
9
has
movement
that.
is pretty good.
I am also admittedly I do like Bow Knight. I would put it in S, because
I would also put it in S.
Because, the other thing is, the one thing that I feel Bow Knight really lacks, well, the 2 things that Bow Knight really lacks, is, 1, the pair-up is solid, but it's not amazing. I believe it's skill, speed, res, correct? Or something
It's
along
skill,
those
speed,
lines?
movement. It's skills, 3 skill, 3 speed, 1 movement, which is pretty fucking good.
Okay, that's pretty good. But the other thing is also that there are other classes that, for example, right? I would argue that it has better availability than, or not availability, but you know what I mean. It's easier to access than Kenshi, but I would argue that for most units, if I have the choice to put them in Bow Knight or Kenshi, I would probably go Kenshi, to be honest.
But that's
especially
the thing,
if it's Archer Kenshi.
like you can't put all your units in Kinshi. You can put like 3 to 4 units a run in Kinshi.
Well, that's why I'm saying like Bow Knight is like I think Bow Knight is very, very good, but like I think that like if you have the option to put someone in Kinshi instead, you probably would. And also, it doesn't have one of the really important things that I think puts a lot of the... Like, I'm letting you know right now, there are 3 classes that are going into double S tier for me because they have very good 1-2 range combat, which is something that Bow Knight lacks. And
personally, the way I see it is, right, like, let's take something like Malig Knight, which is, we can obviously all agree is an SS tier class, for example. Malig Knight, you will say that Malig Knight has access to 1 to 2 range, but your ass is not using tomes on Baruka. Your ass is not using tomes on Selena. Like, let's get real here. The units that can actually use, like Leo, Elise, Camilla to some extent, more specifically with like the Boltax and stuff. Like, there's a very limited list of units that can use it. Any unit that is in Bow Knight will be almost at their best in Bow Knight, unless they're unless it's like Felicia in Bow Knight. But even then, Felicia in the Bow Knight is going to cook the early game because her stats are just going to be way higher than other. And I think the thing that we like underrate is that with Kinshi Knight, like, I mean, Zoran has said this a couple times to me as well, and I agree with it, is that Kinshi Knight is a class where it doesn't make a middling unit into a great unit. It takes a great unit and turns them into an even better unit. If you don't have if you don't have excellent base stats with like Mozu just getting a lot of levels, or with somebody like just like putting a bunch of like class skills or whatever onto somebody that has access to Kinshi, like they're going to be pretty lackluster in Kinshi. For example, like if you put Niles into Kinshi Knight, he's not really going to be putting in that much work because his strength is going to go into the fucking gutter. Units like Effie, Mozu, and Korin are the ones that really take advantage of a class like Kinshi. Whereas with Bow Knight, there's nothing like that. Like even a unit like Laszlo, who is often quite middling in combat, he will get a big buff from going into Bow Knight. Units that can, and Bow Knight also has, I think, an early promotion mode to it that we don't discuss enough, where any like if you early promote either of your mercenaries into Bow Knight, that unit is going to last you until you reach Hoshido, and they're going to be damn good at it as well. I think that we really,
I will say that is true, because like E rank for weapons always feels bad, but for me, like, the one where it feels the least bad is E bows, because bronze bow, like a forged bronze, is just going to carry you so hard.
Bronze bow plus 2 is like broken.
So the way I see it is that although Bow Knight has good stats and is very flexible, it's missing 2 very key components, right? Like, 2 of the best qualities a class can have are flight and 1 to 2 range access, and Bow Knight doesn't really have either of those. It's very mobile because it has 8 move, sometimes 9 move, and it has a lot of ranged options because it has both swords and bows, but it's not like Ninja where you have those 1 to 2 range daggers. It's not like Wyvern or Malig or even Kinshi Knight. Like, the big boon that Kinshi has over Bow Knight is that Kinshi Knights can fly, and there are a lot of maps where flight is a really big deal, and Bow Knight doesn't help you in that situation. It's still a good class.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking more like. I'm thinking more like high S, because I do think it is one of the best classes
high
in the
S
game.
tier I'm okay with, right? Like, high S tier makes perfect sense.
Alright, I'll just put my last argument here, which is that Brainiac said that it, like, flying in and 1 to 2 range, which is... Oh, Vex, are you here?
Vex?
Hello?
Oh my god.
Holy shit. So, Vex was originally going... Oh, what the fuck is going on?
I don't know what's going on.
I'm outside, man. So, like I'm currently walking.
Okay. So Vex was originally going to be part of this video. They ended up running late. If you want to show up, then please be my guest. But we're going over Bow Knight, and I'm trying to argue for why Bow Knight is, I think, in the top tier of classes. I don't think it's close to the top of the top tier. But again, I think that we're not overvaluing, but like heavily valuing the late game a lot, as opposed to the early game where Bow Knight also shines. And also, I think that Bow Knight has a way to fix the problem that you have with it, which is that like 1 to 2 range, like if you go into it from Outlaw, you can get a magic stat. You probably have a magic stat if you're going into it from
Not
Outlaw,
every unit has a magic stat.
Yes, but like the only unit that has innate Outlaw access and doesn't have a magic stat is like Shura. and Shining Bow is like Shining Bow is like 13 might, and you can get like hit plus 20 from Lucky 7, which is pretty good.
But doesn't that kind of undermine your argument of it being highly accessible though? The accessibility doesn't really matter if it's not like good on a lot of units. I know it's kind of a straw man, but
I'm saying that without boosting Shining Bow damage from the Outlaw line is not good, but the units that get it in from the Outlaw line specifically usually tend to make it work. But if you come at it from the Mercenary line, that has an innate access to strong riposte and a pretty and extra like better bulk before you promote, and that also allows you to do decent Shining Bow strats. And Shining Bow is a weapon that you're probably just gonna have one of sitting around the convoy anyways. And once you go into Bow Knight, it's pretty much just like a sword, a bow on a horse, and then like you get the Shining Bow. And also like Bow Knight's bulk is pretty fucking good. It's got a lot of res on it, and you get like +4 speed from promoting into Bow Knight. It's unreal. Like I just think that it's strong on so many levels.
Yeah,
that like just because
I will say Laszlo's ability to double like before Bow Knight compared to after Bow Knight is pretty wild.
Yeah, and like also like the thing is like just because Malig Knight is better doesn't mean that Bow Knight isn't also insanely broken. Like I feel like any physical unit that you can get into Bow Knight is going to be happy to get into Bow Knight. And the same can be said for something like Wyvern Lord or Malig Knight, or even like, sometimes Kinshi Knight, sure. But I think that, but the same can also be said for Bow Knight. I just think that it's like I'm looking at the other classes in this list, and I just don't see many other classes that are like anywhere close to as good as Bow Knight and as widely applicable.
There are like 6 classes that I would put above Bow Knight personally.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 classes I would put above Bow Knight. I don't know, like. I think I just don't, like, to me, I think, like, Bow Knight is very good, but it's not one of those classes where, like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna put a unit in this, and they're going to, like, carry me. And granted, a class doesn't need to have a unit carry you to be really good, but I think, to me, SS tier is for those, like, solid, like, 4 or 5 classes where it's like, yeah, I'm going to put my carry unit into this, and they are going to, they are going to carry my run for me,
I feel like
the
only reason I now don't say that is because the units that are already carrying me are already in, like, classes like Malig Knight and, like, Leo's in, like, a Dark Mage class. Like I do put, I often put Soleil into Bow Knight and just go, yeah, Mods crush a skull, and then she does it every single turn for the next, like, 40 turns until the game's over. So same with Shura.
But, like, here's the thing, right? It's like, take Ninja or take Sorcerer, right? If you want them to carry you through the game, they have 1 to 2 range, and they have good stats. So you just point them forward, they counterattack everything, and everything dies. With Bow Knight, you have to actually kind of, like, apply some degree of, like, tactics and thinking to it.
I feel like it's the other way around. But, well, like, Bow Knight requires on-map tactics sometimes, yeah, but, like, making a ninja unit into your carry, no matter what, requires, like, setup. It requires
a bit more investment,
sure. I mean, yeah, that's the thing, right, is, like, with the Soleil example, right? Soleil is really good as a Bow Knight and as a Master Ninja, but what we're doing is we're ranking the classes, right? And I would, like, my argument would be, like, Soleil is going to be more of a carry if you put her in Master Ninja compared to Bow Knight. Like,
I just feel like I feel like that I kind of disagree, because, like, I feel like your slots for carries are pretty filled by the time you get her, and just, like, the brainlessness, like, having her stick in hero for a couple levels just feels fucking weird. And you still get the movement pair up, like, stats from the Bow Knight. You still get, like, potentially 9 movement depending on where you get it. I don't know. I just feel like I would feel disingenuous putting it into the same tier as something like Sniper or something like one of the better classes that aren't, like, broken. Putting it into the same tier as something like, I don't know, Berserker, like, and not putting it in the same tier as, like,
I think that depends on. I think that depends on where we're putting Sniper and Berserker.
I mean, I would put Bow Knight and Berserker in the same tier, right here in S.
Yeah, I would just feel bad about. I just feel wrong for doing that, me personally. They just feel so different, and Bow Knight feels just so much better.
Yeah. Also, Vex, what's your take on this?
I'm not like the person who, like, puts Berserker, like, all the way up there. I think it has its flaws.
Well, also
we're
keep
talking
in mind
about,
we're
Bow Knight.
taking into
We're talking about
account
Bow Knight.
skills and
Yeah,
para
but like
bonuses,
okay,
right?
but like Bow Knight, I would place like solidly above Berserker.
Right.
Okay, would you place it like okay?
A tier or something?
We have
Well,
our
well,
top
okay.
tier is SS tier, and then we have S tier as the second top tier.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's just decent. So, like A.
I mean, I would say it's better
Or
than decent,
S.
just not the very top.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
fine. I feel like we should revisit this later, but also I think we
We-
spent like 15 minutes on Bow Knight, so we
Yeah.
should
Spent
move
a
on.
long
We
time
can,
on
yeah,
Bow
no,
Knight,
we
yeah.
can
Oh my
revisit
lord.
stuff for sure. All right. Also, Vex, do you want to take a second because we're kind of talking about Bow Knight as you joined. Do you want to take a second to introduce yourself?
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Vex. I don't know how to introduce myself, but I just play Conquest a lot.
Well, you're doing right now, aren't you doing no guard stance conquest?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And it may or may not like influence a lot of my thoughts. Because like, like I've been like doing well with heroes so far. I think it's great. So, but that's like in context of the run itself. But anyways. Even like outside of that run, like I normally use attack stance. So, what you're gonna get from me is, what classes are good in that kind of situation.
Which is fair because I'm kind of the opposite where I usually lean more on guard stance, so I feel like it helps like balance out the perspectives, I think.
I used to do the same thing, and then I played Fate's Shadow Dragon, and then I realized how much greener the grass is on the other side. Nowadays, I always was like in the low preps kind of builds, but nowadays I'm super low prep builds because like I feel like I would much rather have my difficulty be on like a tactical turn by turn basis because I just think that it's more fun to play the game that way.
That is fair. If nobody has a preference for where we go next, I wanna talk about my horse in the race here for like SS, or at least like the one that I feel like isn't immediately obvious.
If you say Maid, then I'm literally gonna alt F4.
It's not Maid. No, my pick for SS that I really want to talk about right now is Sorcerer.
I agree with you.
I don't think my thing with Sorcerer is that like first of all to become a sorcerer you have to be a dark mage, and to be a dark mage you have to have a class-based speed that is the same as the class-based speed that the Armor Knight class has. Just wanted to put that out there. First of all, second of all, I feel like you have to be a unit that's already going to be good in Sorcerer to go into Sorcerer, and there's like very, very, very rare exceptions to this rule. Like units that have so much bulk that even if they do like 0 damage, they like in Sorcerer they'll just live. Like some shit like Xander or Benny in Sorcerer. Yes, it's gonna suck, but like they'll still survive. Just, like speaking from experience from the Conquest Relay, stuff like that. But like other than that, I just think that Sorcerer specifically, I just don't think it's like, I don't think it's all that hotness, you know what I mean? I just don't think it's widely applicable is my thing. Is that, like, if you have a Sorcerer, you could theoretically be doing the same thing with a Malig Knight. You could theoretically be doing the same thing with a good Dark Knight. Shit, if they're good enough, you could theoretically be doing the same thing with a goddamn strategist, but I don't think I've ever seen a unit that good. I just think that the Sorcerer is good, but I don't think it's that good.
So
I agree. Because I think like Dark Knight, like the main draw of Sorcerer is like what Nosferatu.
An extra hit compared to Dark Knight.
That is true. It's like marginal.
Isn't Sorcerer faster than Dark Knight?
yes,
Absolutely.
Slightly.
Oh right, it's by I think 1 point or 2.
So if I recall
it's like 2
correctly,
more speed, I think.
So if I recall correctly, Sorcerer is faster than both Dark Knight and Malig Knight, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
So
Dark
as far
Knight
as
and
raw
Malig
co-
Knight have like basically identical class bases.
Yeah, so as far as raw combat is concerned, if you are a magic user, you are not doing any better than Sorcerer. Dark Knight gives you the advantage. Dark Knight gives you the advantage of more bulk and more movement. Malig Knight gives you the advantage of flight, and Sorcerer gives you the advantage of, I don't know, fucking staves, I guess. But Sorcerer's combat is really good. I think you are really like overestimating how many stats you need to be a good sorcerer.
I think
And
you're
that also-
overestimating.
magic.
Like, I think you're overestimating the number of units that perform in Sorcerer that also won't perform in Dark Knight, and just similarly, but with more.
I mean,
Okay.
if you ask me, I would also put Dark Knight and Malig Knight in double S tiers.
The thing is, like,
I-
you know how you said like combat stats and like. First of all, defense is a combat stat. Let's just get that out there. The
You
fact
have
that
a Horse
Dark Knight-
Spirit and you have a Nosferatu. It's
exactly,
fine.
and that makes the sorcerer with a horse spirit is like sort of pushing on what Dark Knight can do sometimes. Dark Knight with the horse spirit is like a goddamn Oni it's like an Oni chieftain with 8 move. It's ridiculous. You're approaching general levels of defense, especially once you add in the weapon triangle control that Calamity Gate affords you. I just think that it's pretty unreasonable the kind of shit that they allow you to do with Dark Knight in this game, especially with the horse spirit added on. I think that the horse spirit on a sorcerer is like only really applicable the late game once you hit Hoshido. And the only time, like, I do also go into Sorcerer on Leo, for example, but it's not because Sorcerer is, like, better. It's because the game hates Leo and they give him a -2 speed cap for no goddamn reason. No, and also because, you get access to, like, some turns Nosferatu's better and also, like, the marginally better hit. It's not like, if I stayed in Dark Knight, the unit would be the same, except for, like, the beast effectiveness. I just don't think that I don't think that Sorcerer is going to be that noticeably different from Dark Knight or Malig Knight that it would be warranted in S tier. It's just not that wildly applicable.
So, okay, so I have a couple points, right? For one, you mentioned earlier that, like, if you're promoting into Sorcerer because you have an 8 access to it, you're doing it from Dark Mage, which has the same class speed as an Armor Knight. But I would argue that, well, for one, the units who the units who start in Dark Mage have better, like, base speed than the units who start in Armor Knight, or at the very least, like, the units who want to go into Armor Knight.
My brother in Christ, Nyx has 11 base speed.
Yeah.
The chapter before that, you get Niles was 15 base speed, and also Silas has like the 8 base speed. Like the base speed is really bad, and even Ophelia with like inheritance is not gonna have good speed until she promotes.
So, but here's my thing about that is that of all the stats in Fates, the one that is easiest to fix for most units is speed, because you have, of course, like the other stats, rallies, tonics, meals. But you also have, what do you call, like, the best backpacks, like Charlotte and Keaton and stuff, give speed, and also there's Inspiring Song. So, it's like hitting, and of course the Horse Spirit, for mages specifically, so it's like, hitting the speed thresholds that you need to in Sorcerer is really, like, not a big deal at all.
I get what you're saying, but, like, in that situation, let's consider this, right? You have a Dark Mage. You've been fixing their speed because Dark Mage's speed is quite underwhelming at times. Obviously, you do that because Dark Mage, if you can fix the speed to make a unit better, you fix their speed. Now, you give them a Master Seal, and you see the option between Sorcerer and Dark Knight, and Sorcerer gives you 2 more speed and, like, I think 1 more magic, and like a little bit more hit.
It's more
in
than
exchange
one
for, like,
It's more than 1 magic. It's like 3 more magic, I think.
It's 3. Do you get 0 magic on promotion to Dark Knight? Because I know you get 3 magic on promotion to Sorcerer.
Oh, okay, then it's 2 then. It's 2.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so you get 2 more magic, and in exchange for, like, 7 defense or some shit. Well, it's not 7, I think it's, like, 5 defense, something like that.
Yeah, the big difference is strength, because Dark Knight promotion is, like,
you've-
plus 8 strength or something.
If you've already been fixing your speed on this unit, why would you settle for a class that tries to fix your speed when it's already so late? It's to the point where it's like, fuck you, I've already been fixing my speed. You didn't help me when I was, while you partied, I studied the blade. Now you're trying to come to me for help? I'm gonna go into Dark Knight. It just feels like unnecessary to try to get your speed that high. Like, I'm putting Ophelia into Dark Knight if I'm using Ophelia. I just don't see a reason for, unless it's Nyx Ophelia, in which case she needs as much hit as she can get.
I'm not sure if this angle makes that much sense.
The thing is, like, you're already fixing speed, is the thing.
Okay, so for a couple of reasons. 1, the extent to which you need to fix your speed depends on the individual unit. 2, not everyone actually has to go through Dark Mage. Some people are going to Sorcerer promoted, at which point that's not really a thing. Like with Leo, it is a direct trade-off between the movement and defense of Dark Knight and the attack and speed of Sorcerer with Nosferatu access.
Dude,
right? Dark Mage's
yes.
bad speed does not factor in there.
So and
The
also
Sorcerer's attack also doesn't factor in here. The man has 20 base magic. Like, Sorcerer's +2 magic is not gonna do a damn thing for the guy.
It probably does help.
I know I'm gonna do something I know that's very taboo and cringe on the internet. I'm gonna use anecdotal evidence.
Ew.
I know, shameful of me. But the two main dark mages that I have the most experience using, well, Ophelia, but that doesn't. Right now, I want to focus on Odin and Leo, right? Odin, in my experience, I've used that unit a lot. Almost always performs better promoting to Sorcerer than promoting to Dark Knight, partially because Odin already has like solid bulk compared to, like, better bulk compared to the other like dark mages. What he wants is the extra magic and speed that it offers, and especially if you combine it with the Horse Spirit from his daughter's Paralog, like, he's going to hit the doubling threshold and he's going to be more bulky. And
but he wants the Nosferatu from Sorcerer by far.
And Nosferatu as well, yes.
That's another argument in favor of Sorcerer.
Yes, and then with Leo, granted, Leo is that guy, so he does really well in either class.
I have never hard sealed Leo ever. I have never done it.
So that's the thing. Just recently, in my most recent Conquest playthrough, I actually
Vex, you gotta mute yourself, bro. You gotta mute yourself a little.
Sorry.
Yeah, Vex. I didn't want to say it, but yeah, sorry.
I can do that. I'm not really contributing.
But yeah, in my most recent Conquest playthrough, I was just out of curiosity. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna instant reclass Leo to Sorcerer on his join map and just see how he plays throughout the game, just to see. And I'm not really using my Heart Seal for anything else anyway, so I'll do it. I shit you not, easily, like, ridiculous unit. And granted, Leo is already a really good unit in Dark Knight, but you would be surprised how much Nosferatu access, even in like the mid to late game, makes a difference. Like,
the thing is, like, Leo has so much magic that I feel like if you're going into Sorcerer, you're not doing it for the Nosferatu access. You're doing it for the extra magic so he can reach one hit KO thresholds as opposed to
that Nosferatu still helps, you know.
Here's the thing: it's both. It's he hits Oko thresholds with something like Brynhildr, but also, like, the thing is, you brought up earlier, like, oh, Dark Knight has extra defense, but the thing is, on a lot of maps, in practice, I find Sorcerer to be bulkier because of Nos.
There are a lot of enemy groups that just fold to Nosferatu.
Okay,
like, it is really hard to tie.
Okay, could you please give me an example of one that's like in the mid game of Conquest that folds to Nosferatu?
Okay, I'll give you a better one. The entirety of Chapter 23. That chapter, like, the counter snipers and, like, the room with Obero and, like, all the snipers, Basars, and Spearmasters, entire chapter folds to Leo with, like, Nosferatu and, like, Felicia Para.
Okay, now let me just paint you a picture, right? Let's say you take Leo in Dark Knight in that chapter, you give him the same backpack, you give him a Horse Spirit instead of Nosferatu, you give him a Calamity Gate, and you just send him into that room. In what world does he not do the exact same thing?
Yeah, I can actually confirm Leo will do the exact same thing as the Dark Knight.
Like, the only time where I find that Sorcerer is, like, better is on Chapter 24, and that's only if you're trying to solo it with Leo, which is funny, but definitely not anywhere close to optimal.
That is
Chapter
fair.
16, for example, Chapter 16 eats shit from from Leo. He's gonna be better off using Horse Spirit, and, like, the thing is, using Nosferatu in Sorcerer is good, but, like, it's like you use Nosferatu in Sorcerer for bulk, or you use Horse Spirit in Dark Knight or Malig Knight for some units for bulk. And I feel like Horse Spirit in Dark Knight pretty much almost always wins out, because with Dark Knight you also have the movement potential, which allows you to position yourself for Heartseeker for the rest of your army even better than you would be able to otherwise, which I think is a little bit underrated. But I mean, I know people still try to do it, but I think the extra 2 movement definitely does help out. And also on Dark Knight, for example, Like, and also sometimes it'll just let you reach enemies at one range. If you're on chapter 17, you can sometimes reach the ninjas at one range with a Dark Knight that you wouldn't be able to reach with a sorcerer, and at one range with a Calamity Gate, your hit rates will be much more acceptable, for example.
I think
So my argument there would be like, okay, so like yes, Dark Knight with the Horse Spirit can do a lot of the same tanking as Sorcerer with Nosferatu, but then the question becomes like the comparison becomes the higher speed, magic, and hit of Sorcerer versus the higher movement of Dark Knight. And also,
the higher magic of the Sorcerer versus the higher movement and higher speed of the Dark Knight. Because the skill bonus from the Nosferatu also has 70 hit. The skill bonus from it cancels out the hit disparity. The speed bonus from the Horse Spirit cancels out the speed buff, and then some that the Sorcerer gives you. The only thing that the Nosferatu is giving you is slightly more damage output. Well, actually, not slightly more. It's like 5 more damage a hit. Compared to +3 defense, +3 resistance, more hit, more speed, and through 2 more movement in Dark Knight.
I'm gonna be honest, this conversation's kind of morphing from a conversation about where we're ranking Sorcerer to a combination of, is Sorcerer better than this other specific option?
Okay, yeah,
but we've kind of already established.
So I also think that like magic classes in general aren't super widely applicable. And like Sorcerer especially, like the same way
they're
you can
applicable
put any.
If you're a magic user.
Yeah, I agree, but like, how many magic users are there realistically that will be happy to be in Sorcerer? There's a decent number of magic users that are support units, like Felicia and Jacob, Forrest, like yada yada. Like Elise, even if you're not using her as a Malig Knight, for example. Like, and if you're using her for combat, you're not putting her ass in the Sorcerer, you're putting her ass in Malig Knight. So I just think that like the units that A, don't have access to Malig Knight, and B, will benefit from Sorcerer is much less of a use case than something like Bow Knight, where any physical unit probably has access to it and probably will be happy to have access to it.
I think it's a little bit silly to like penalize all the magic classes for the fact that there aren't that many magic units in the game.
That is also true. Like the magic class, like just inherently in basically any Fire Emblem game, like there's gonna be more physical units than magical. Like that's just how it is.
That's fair, but I still that's fair, but I think that I generally just think that Sorcerer belongs in S, because like the fact that there is a trade-off for, I feel like if you're gonna put Bow Knight in S, I feel like the SS classes are gonna have to be so good that there is no trade-off there.
Okay, that is fair. I will say I think Sorcerer and Dark Knight belong in the same tier though.
I would put like from top to bottom, I would put Dark Knight, Bow Knight, Sorcerer.
I still think the 1 to 2 range from Sorcerers.
I also we should bring up something that we are considering but haven't brought up yet, which is pair-up bonuses and skills.
Dark Knight pair-up blows Sorcerer out of the
Oh yeah,
yes.
Dark Knight pair-up is insane.
Dark Knight pair-up's really good. In terms of skills, like their level 5 skills are both very underwhelming, and then their level 15 skills are like they're okay. Like Bowbreaker.
I actually find both their level 15 skills to be pretty useful, because like you can do with Bowbreaker you can do Calamity Gate against bow and lance enemies, and you come out on top pretty easily actually.
Yeah, chapter 24 shaking in its boots right now, like unironically.
And Life Taker on Dark Knight helps you like cover up some of the flaws that not having Nosferatu has, because it gives you a lot more sustain. Like Life
That's true. Yeah, I guess it just kind of comes, but like I would argue like there's not much of a difference between like Bowbreaker and Life Taker in terms of overall like usefulness.
I agree.
So yeah, I see it. At the end of the day though, I'm not sure.
I would put. Let's put it this way. I think Dark Knight definitely belongs in the list.
I also agree, because I think Dark Knight Corrin is also really good, and also you still maintain your Yato access.
Dark Knight Corrin is basically Leo.
Basically like Leo number 1, like before he joins, and then also like you get and also like Dark Knight Corrin, nice thing is that like if you build properly, you don't have to use like the Horse Spirit and stuff, and also again you keep your fucking Yato access.
Yeah, I don't know. See, the thing with that though is, again, compared to other classes, like Dark Knight, you're probably not going into Dark Knight unless you are a pretty solid user of magic. Like if you
yeah, it's like a Kenshi Knight for magic, and I think but the thing is, like, I think that there's less magic units in Conquest, yeah, but the units that have magic use it pretty fucking well.
That is true.
aside
But
from Nyx, but
I don't know. My only thing is like I
We
don't
talk
think
about Nyx.
I don't think the difference between Dark Knight and Sorcerer is that big to where they are a tier apart.
I would agree. But I would probably. I also think that it would go to top best.
Yeah, I mean, I think like this is probably about right. Like,
All right, here's something that none of us are going to argue about: Malig Knight in the top of the list.
Oh
True.
yeah.
The only
definitely.
the problem I have is distribution, which it just feels like the distribution for this class just kind of tries to fuck over some units. Leo, that just like,
True.
he can't A+ his sister for no goddamn reason. Let me put that out there. There's no reason for him to not be able to A+ his sister. And then like there's units that would like to have it that just don't have access to it, and there's units that have access to it that don't want Malig Knight specifically and are just fine with being able to fly.
yeah, the thing about Malig Knight is I would argue like it isn't the most widely applicable class. However, for the units it does apply for, like, and if you just take into account like how good units are in the class, might be like just my pick for number one.
I think you're thinking of Malig Knight as a magical class. I'm thinking of Malig Knight as a physical class that just
It
gets
can be
trampled.
both.
Well, yeah,
That's
it's
the
both.
great thing. It can just be both.
That's the
I
thing
like
is it
using-
has like it can be both, and it has really really good skills.
I like Wyvern Lord better. I like using Wyvern Lord more than using Malig Knight a lot of times.
Wyvern Lord has better stats, is the thing.
Yeah, I like-
Wyvern Lord just feels better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it just feels like you're getting more out of it. I feel like I'm getting more out of the unit. Obviously, for magical units, it's a fucking blowout. You go Malig Knight every time. But for physical units, the fact that even for a physical unit you can often justify going Malig Knight, I think just speaks to how good the class is.
Yeah, and
I
also
don't
there's
think-
some stuff like what is it? I mean, the main one that comes to mind is Camilla with the Bolt Axe, right? Where like her base magic isn't like amazing, but it's good enough, and the Bolt Axe is strong enough to where
I feel like if you're using Bolt Axe Camilla, you might as well just fucking play FE6. If you're gonna use Bolt Axe on a Malig Knight, just do it with Corrin. With Camilla, I feel like you could just give her a magic pair up and a tome and do it instead. I feel like I've used the Bolt Axe before. It's like 75 hit on enemies with like lowish avoid, and it's just like you're just signing yourself up for a level of failure that you don't want to deal with. If she has like B rank axes already, and she has like the plus 10 hit bonus, then you can justify a bit more. And like again, Bolt Axe, like having the Bolt Axe as opposed to not having the Bolt Axe is obviously helpful.
right.
And also, like another thing with the Malig Knight is that for a magical unit, if they just have D rank axes, using the hammer is probably going to be enough to help you cleave through some armors that if your magic isn't enough to let you do that.
yeah, and also like
The way I see Malig Knight is that if Dark Knight is broken, Malig Knight's Dark Knight that flies. But
Yeah,
also-
it's doubly broken.
Malig Knight is
Yeah.
Dark Knight that flies and also has better skills. So
it checks every possible box. It flies. It has range. It has good skills. I forget what its parap bonuses are.
its
I think
parap
it's
is
plus
worse
3
than
magic,
Dark Knight.
it's
I will
plus 3
say
it's
it
plus
is.
2, it's plus 2 magic, plus 2 defense, plus 2 res, plus 1 movement.
Yeah,
That's not awful, actually.
it's
Plus
not
one
bad.
movement
It's
is
not
good.
bad, but it is worse than Dark Knight's. Like it is a downgrade, but
Yeah.
in every other aspect, it's a better class. And also more widely applicable because like if you're like a mixed attacking unit or like a physical unit who wants to go one of these two classes and you have you have the choice, you're going Malig.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're at it, since we also kind of mentioned it, we can put Wyvern Lord up there as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's a
no
Fire
argument
Emblem
from
game.
me.
Like yeah, Wyvern Lord is
I think Wyvern Lord is pretty obviously worse than Malig Knight because
yes.
the thing is like
I think it
like
depends.
well
I think it
I don't
depends,
think so
really.
because like let me put it this way, Brainiac. If you're a physical unit, Malig Knight versus Wyvern Lord is still a choice. If you're a magical unit, there is no choice. You go Malig Knight.
I
So-
think most physical units are always taking Wyvern Lord.
I don't think
Also,
so.
I will
For
say
example,
Malig also has better.
I used to be a hardline. I used to be a hardline promote like reclass Camilla back into Wyvern Lord. But like recently, I'm like, I'll just stay in the class. She's fucking good enough by herself. And
Yeah,
who
like
else is,
why use the
Baruka?
seal?
Like Baruka into Wyvern Lord versus Malig Knight. Like Baruka's dog shit anyways. If you're pumping enough stats into her to make her into a viable combat unit, you might as well put her into Malig Knight and just give her a little bit more stats. than usual.
Baruka doesn't have the magic to make use of like Malig Knight having magic. So you might as well give her the class with more strength, speed, and defense.
But then you're like missing out on the skills. I think is the big.
You can
thing
just
here.
dip into Malig Knight for the skills and then dip back out.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like a choice, right? Like you still have to make the choice depending on how you want your seal economy to be in your run. But with magical units, there's never any choice. Like there are points in time where you want a physical unit to go into Malig Knight. I can't think of a single guy. Okay, the only time I can think of that I would ever put a magical unit into Wyvern Lord is Felicia to get rally defense, so that even once she like falls off or combat stats fall off, she can still do rally botting with like rally defense plus rally res.
That's the other thing. Also, is I feel like
I'm not gonna lie, you're kind of losing me because like, what the heck is this talk about? Oh, I can put a magic unit in a Wyvern Lord. Just what?
Well, and
what
also
I'm saying
like
is that,
Felicia going into Wyvern Lord is a Corrin marriage like only thing. So I tend to like not think about that too much.
That's a topic for a different discussion. What I'm saying is that magical units always going to Malig Knight. Physical units usually going to Wyvern Lord, but sometimes can justify going to Malig Knight, which I think shows that Malig Knight is better overall.
Yes, and also I should note that
Malig Knight.
like if we're comparing the skills from Malig are better. Like rally defense is good, but it's not amazing. Swordbreaker is kind of in the same camp, to be honest.
Swordbreaker is very.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair for the skills.
Yeah, for the
like,
skills.
trample.
Like for example, for quickies, I did Malig Knight Corrin because it's fucking Corrin. It's not like he's gonna be worse from going into like. It's not like he's gonna be
Or
worse.
you can
from
do
going
whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like that's obvious. Like you said, how could you justify going to Malig Knight? That's one way you could justify it. You're gonna go into the class for trample anyways. You might as well go into it early, save a seal.
Yeah, well, and also I would argue that like magical Corrin in Malig is better than physical Corrin in Wyvern, even though they're both very good.
I put physical Corrin in Malig. I'm a sicko.
Yeah, or that, like,
Crazy.
but the
Yeah.
fact,
But
but again,
really late.
it's why I agree with your overall point. Like the fact that it is a thing you can do, and like the fact that it is a choice that you can make, like that proves how ridiculous Malig is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was actually thinking about it, and I feel like we need to put Maid in S tier. I said I was gonna opt for it, but then I realized that like Soul Maid is just Soul Ninja, like real talk. What the fuck are you getting out of Ninja?
I can accept S tier. Look, the way I
didn't
see
say
it,
double S. I did not say double S. I meant S tier, like as in regular S tier. And also,
I was gonna
Maid
advocate for that anyway.
Maid includes Butler, and Maid and Butler is Jacob and Felicia, and Jacob and Felicia have easy supports with like the entire cast, and you get both of them every single run. And also like on top of that, you have your units like what you know. And your party has access to the Maid skills earlier. Maid having really good combat against tome units is helpful. I just think that I think that your party is going to be better having a unit either like in the Maid class line than it is going to be otherwise. And there's also other reasons you can justify it.
Yeah, I will say also, for a lot of the units, right? Because like the main thing that Maid does is like staff utility, but also the dagger utility, right? And I would argue that compared to other staff classes, like say strategist or Falco Knight or adventurer, like you would probably rather want to be in Maid or Butler over those classes because daggers are a better weapon type, and like like you said, like there are units who start in those classes who are just really good in Maid and Butler. You know, mainly Jacob and Felicia.
I think it depends. It's like I feel like if you're going into Maid for combat, then you need combat stats, you know? And it's like if you're lacking that.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Master Ninja. You can't go into Master Ninja unless you have an already good strength
But
stat.
Master Ninja has better combat stats
Also-
than Maid. It's a bigger problem for
It's
Maid
really
than
not
it is
that
for
much of a
Master.
difference. It's like Maid has
But it's
better
still a
like
difference. It's still worse.
Also, like you
but
asked
Maid
earlier,
has
what does
vastly better
Master
availability.
Ninja have that Maid doesn't? The answer is Shuriken Fair, which does matter a lot.
in the like Shuriken Fair matters like chapter 20, 24 like onwards. It's a really late skill. Like I cannot stress this enough. The thing that I actually think that like Master Ninja like we should consider has over is like the dagger rank cap doesn't matter too much. But except for on Kaze, but like you know Kaze's kind of a different beast in and of itself. The thing with it is the innate class bonuses can be helpful. You can afford using a shittier weapon as a Master Ninja because the +5 crit avoid, for example, and the +5 void and the +5 hit will let you get away with it a little bit easier. I just think also, can I just like allow me to present something to the jury here. +3 magic, +3 magic, +3 speed, +3 luck.
That's pretty good. But doesn't Master
pretty
Ninja give like +4 speed, +1 move?
+4 speed, +1 move, and some res. But like magic and speed, this is the only accessible way to do magic speed in Conquest.
That is
in the same
It's
class.
a good pair up.
It's a really fucking good pair up.
Yeah.
It's basically
also,
Onmyoji. It's basically Onmyoji with luck.
Also, I will say,
mean,
people say that like, oh, Felicia and Jacob, like, you need to reclass them into a better class and get them skills or else they fall off. That's not really true for Felicia to me because I don't know about you guys. I just keep Felicia and Maid. Just give her the Flame Shuriken and Staves, and she is like never not doing something good.
Deadass, I put her into strategist too. I've done Maid Felicia runs. Literally, no matter what she does, she's your best staffer until Forrest joins your party. There is no two ways about it.
Yeah, but even then, like Flame Shuriken Felicia with like, you know, if you've paired her with like a magical guy like Odin or Leo, like she is just going to kill things if on turns that she is not.
And also, she's always like the Maid Felicia versus Ninja matchup is fucking unwinnable for. I mean, Maid Felicia versus magical enemy matchup is fucking unwinnable for the magical enemy.
Yes.
I think Flame Shuriken Felicia needs like hit support because like her hit rates are not the best, and then Flame Shuriken hit is also not the best. It's like
somewhat,
but pretty
usually
big
against
flaw.
tome units, you eventually get Tome Breaker, so you definitely don't have to worry about that. But against other enemies, I can see like against like generals, she doesn't really need it, but like against like paladins and shit like that, I can see the.
Yeah, it's mainly, and also Weapon Triangle against like red units helps. It's mainly against like something like a Berserker, where because of Weapon Triangle disadvantage.
Yeah, Berserker, Master Ninja, like Sniper sometimes, shit like that.
Yeah, but also, why are you having Felicia fight a Master Ninja? Like.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
I do
Maid is,
agree
like,
overall.
bottom
It's
at
probably
like
an. Not. I don't think it's as good as these classes,
A.
but I think it is S tier.
I think it's
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
The way I
put
see-
it top of it. Put it top of it. Put it
The
top.
way
of
I see Maid is that Maid is just Master Ninja, but with worse stats and staff access. And where are we putting that?
Well, and also-
vastly better availability.
And also, I should point out, like, compared to other, like, this is like the staff class other than like strategist, but also I'd argue probably more units would want to be in Maid than strategist overall.
I think it's pretty much just Felicia and Jacob that can justify being strategist for, and Forrest obviously, but you recruit him when he's already promoted.
Yeah. So it's like, I think low S is fair.
But like. I was about
good.
to put strategist above Maid, honestly, but then I was thinking about
Yeah, I think strategist is
you
an
can
A tier
justify
class.
it. You can justify it, I think.
I think Maid should go top of it. I just think that I think it's like the potentially the best, like generally speaking, it's the best support class. If you're talking Felicia and Jacob, strategist is the best support class.
We can revisit it, right? Like we can
fair
put it top of A and then maybe
Okay.
think about it later.
Okay. Can we put Sniper in S tier, please?
No? What?
No, I don't think so.
No,
If you want
Wait,
Sniper,
well,
you literally...
okay. The skills
I second this.
are kinda heat, and more than kind of,
skills
honestly.
The skills are good, but you have
Also, you have-
one
no,
avenue
no.
for getting that class.
Also, you have the innate class bonuses, which are like goofy as fuck. You just get +10 hit. You can use like the world's most dog shit weapon and still have like 100 hit on every enemy in the entire game, into perpetuity.
Okay, but lag also, the availability is shit, and also, that is a foot-locked bow class.
It's a bow class, Brainiac.
Bow
bows
class
are
is
good
pretty-
on-
Bow class is pretty good, but look at what we have in S tier right now.
I would,
I don't
yeah,
think that's
so
S
here's
tier
the thing, I would argue that, I think, like, Bow Knight is S, I think Bow Knight is overall, like, more applicable and, like, easier to get than Sniper, even if Sniper has, like, better skills. Like,
I don't know, I
Sniper's
just feel like
combat
like any
Sniper
physical
combat is
unit gets-
vastly better. Sniper is one of the best combat classes in the game.
Yeah, the thing is, like,
It's
I
just
think
that
that
it's not as
Kinshi's good, but I think the reason that Kinshi is so good is because the combination of being able to switch, like, choose between Kinshi and Sniper depending on how good your unit is, what maps are coming up, and like what your bow rank is, or what other potential reclasses you have, what skills you need at that point in time. I think they together are that good. I don't think they're I think they're more than the sum of their parts.
Yes, although I'd argue that overall, a unit who has access to Archer is going to want to be in Kinshi Knight more than they want to be in Sniper, even if the Sniper skills are helping Kinshi's performance.
Eventually. Like, once you hit, like, Chapter 19, obviously Kinshi versus Sniper is a blowout. But I think before then, Sniper is pretty fucking good. And also on Paralog, Sniper is pretty damn good. Because there's not a lot of Paralogs where, like, flying is super, super relevant, other than, like, Percy and Valdoria, for example.
Right. No, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Sniper is strong. Like, I like Sniper a lot. I would just argue that...
I think A tier is fair.
I think it's like it's around Maid level. I think it's like bottom of A or bottom of S, top of A, around that range.
Okay,
I'm leaning.
Yeah, go for it.
What was that, Vex?
No, I was saying like I think it's S class Sniper. I prefer it over Kinshi Knight, which is probably a hot take.
Like, I prefer being in, like, okay, Kinshi Knight is probably better if you're, like, good at the game, but me personally, I just like equipping that Crescent Bow and seeing that, like, 33 times 4. That's the lifestyle for me.
I will say, I think Sniper's better stats does make it feel better.
I don't think Kinshi has access to the Crescent Bow. Hold up.
No, it does. It caps at A bows, B lances.
Oh, it does, right.
I think Merchant is the one where it's the other way around.
Yeah, let me just illustrate the difference between, like, CQ, Sniper. Let me just show the difference between, like, Sniper and... Sniper has 3 more strength, 1 more skill and speed, 2 more defense, 5 less resistance.
Is it actually faster?
Yes. It's faster and stronger. Both Bow Knight, I'm pretty sure both Bow Knight and Sniper are both stronger. And also, the pair up is pretty fucking good. 2 strength, 3 skill, 3 speed is pretty damn good. And obviously, the innate hit and crit bonus. I feel like we don't talk. I feel like we need to talk a little bit about the Sniper crit bonus, because it can be kind of clutch against, like, because bow unit versus armor is a historically dog shit matchup in this game. But if you have the crit bonus, like, you can sometimes if you don't have anything better to do with your bow unit, you can just take a pot shot and an armor. Sometimes it crits and you just deal triple damage and you go, oh, that was pretty cool.
Or even better, if you spare Chura and have the killer bow, you can have a higher chance to crit and deal +4 damage.
No, give me the boots. Give me the
boots. No, don't get me wrong. Listen, I also take the boots, but I'm just saying, like, it's a part of it, and also
I would put it either below Sorcerer or above Maid. That's my 2 placements for it.
No, I agree. It's one of those 2, I think.
I really don't think it should be in the same tier as Bow Knight and Sorcerer.
I do think it is a little worse. Like,
I also don't think it should be in the same tier as Bow Knight, because I think Bow Knight should be an SS.
Yeah, well,
like, it has so much hit. That's a thing.
Yeah, like, we're Conquest players, people. We love that hit rate.
That is true.
You could put fucking Gonzalez into Sniper, and his ass would be getting 100 hit.
That is true.
Oh wait, you know what? Now that you mention that, I have another argument for why Sorcerer and Dark Knight should go up. They just have Heartseeker.
Heartseeker's pretty good, but Wyvern Lord also has Lunge, which is broken, Strength +2, which is broken, Rally Defense, which is pretty good.
I'm not saying put
Strong Riposte
I'm
is
not
pretty
saying
good.
Put them above.
Demos Challenge on TM are pretty good. Like,
I don't think Heartseeker is enough of a factor.
I don't know. Heartseeker's pretty good.
Heartseeker is a very good skill, but
I don't think Heartseeker should be considered a factor for Sorcerer. For Dark Knight, maybe, because you have even more movement to facilitate it. Can we just put Sniper above Maid and call it for now?
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
So
Kinshi, Nohr Noble. I want to talk about Nohr Noble and why I think it should be in why would you tier. Because, like, seriously, there's like no. If you're, what the fuck are you doing in Nohr Noble? Like, answer me this. What are you doing in Nohr Noble? Not only does the class first of all, class is pretty shit skill, so your Yato usage is going to be kind of ass. If you want to use the Yato, like, be my guest, go into fucking Dark Knight to use the Yato magically, or Bow Knight to use the Yato physically, or Master Ninja to use the Yato physically and have 1 to 2 range physically. If you want to use the Dragon Stone, you're dumb. Don't use the Dragon Stone late game. Just do it with Kana, maybe. Don't do it with Corrin. Are you crazy? If you want to use tomes, we have Malig Knight, Sorcerer, Dark Knight, Strategist. Fucking, you could go into Onmyoji if you wanted and give your army access to different classes. Why the fuck would you pick Nohr Noble as your class? It's just the worst of every single possible world. And the weapon ranks kind of suck ass as well, because you can't start working on them because you promote into it from Nohr Prince.
I
And
think
the
it's one of
skills also
those.
suck ass.
I think it's one of those classes where, in a vacuum, it wouldn't be that bad. But because Corrin literally has a free pick of every single class in the game, there is literally zero reason.
That's
Yeah,
the
like
thing.
if I could put like Ophelia into Nohr Noble or something, I would definitely consider doing it. But like I can't. It's Corrin, and I'm not putting Corrin into Nohr Noble.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I think.
I think regardless of who accesses it, it's still just really bad. So.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I've used Nohr Noble quite a few times, not because I think it's better than other classes, but because I've done like no reclassing playthroughs where it's like I have to. The thing is, Corrin's combat in Nohr Noble isn't even bad. It's just literally, why would you when you could?
The only time I've ever unironically gone into Nohr Noble is like when there's like I need like a bridge in between going from one reclass to another reclass, but I don't have access to the second reclass yet. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go into Nohr Noble for now, chill out for a while. I'll get the access to that reclass, and I'll go into that reclass eventually.
Yeah, because the thing is like, it's like especially if you're like plus magic Corrin, it's just like you're still gonna contribute because Levin Sword is Levin Sword. But there's no reason to, as soon as you get access to like Dark Knight or just any other magical
They're not
class.
using the like. Let's be real here. Why would you spend that much money on 11 sword? You would just spend that much money on a fire tome instead. And anybody in your army can use a fire tome that can use tomes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But the only other thing that it has going for it is Draconic Hex, which is not, it's not bad, but it's definitely doesn't save the class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Norian Trust also is like Omega dog shit.
Nohr Trust is really funny, but it's not good. Yeah.
Well, proc skills are bad, so
Yeah.
this unit being able to proc more of it is not very useful.
Yeah.
Well,
let's
if it
just
was
get
like,
this,
well, I mean,
Just
that,
get
that,
this
that's
out of
one
the
that was-
way.
Yeah.
let's just get this out of the way. Master Ninja's an
Yeah.
SS, right?